Good evening. This part is going to be about the military being disrespected by Kansas and Sedgwick County Juvenile Court. And this is real hard because my husband David is a retired disabled Air Force veteran, served for over 26 years for our freedom, but yet all of our constitutional rights have been violated by Kansas and by the courts, with religious rights, disability rights, and not giving us a court-appointed attorney since February 2012 to now. How the disrespect has been is my sister told the youth social workers and the SRS social workers, which is now called DCF, that my daughters and I do not have mitochondrial myopathy, that I forced Dr. Lynn Holmes to diagnose us. Well, that's a problem because he did not diagnose us. The diagnosis came from the doctors and a German specialist at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. The lead social worker, which is called also case manager, made claims that Walter Reed didn't know what they were doing. Military doctors do not do quality work. So basically what she's saying is all of the men and women that serve our country are not getting the best medical care that the United States can give them, which we know that is not true, because we have seen poor quality doctors, and man, are they poor quality doctors. That's where Dr. Elmer Booth fits. That's the doctor the social worker chose to try to change the diagnosis. He knew about the military medical records. He didn't have to listen to the social worker. So I signed the papers. He could go over to Dr. Lindholm's office and look at the copies of the military medical records. The only thing he would not be able to do, and the social workers would not be able to do, is to copy them. The Air Force is trying to find the records. Senator Roberts' office gave me another address to try, and I'm going to send them another letter to see where we're at finding the original records. These records had not been used in 9.5 years. But it's important for me to get it because it does state when I was diagnosed with this disease, so that if I needed to, I could apply for disability with Social Security. And that's the other thing that's really ticking me off, is our daughters were targeted because SRS found out that Angel, Katrina, and I were each going to get $14,000 because David finally got declared too disabled by Social Security, so it was back payment. Well, Angel, Katrina had been on SSI for just 5 years, so it was prorated down to $2,000, and they got mad at me because they only got $2,000 each. I didn't think money would be an issue with the state, because they were saying, well, do you really need SSI and stuff? But they got very angry when they found out that the SSI had been stopped. Now, we didn't have to stop it, but the rules are the rules. If your income is large enough that you can afford to get everything your children need at the time, you ought to discontinue it. The thing is, Social Security cannot count my husband's disability or the benefits he gets from the VA disability. So the girl still qualified for SSI. But we found out we didn't need the SSI, and we could use their SSA as for backup emergencies. But yet they said that was medical neglect because we were trying to help the country again by not keep getting money from Social Security. Because like JFK said, don't ask what your country can do for you. Find out what you can do for your country. And that's what we keep doing. And being made fun of. So the state basically said military medical care is substandard. Wrong. Next, Angel and Katrina missed too many appointments, had too many no-shows. So we had to go from TRICARE Standard to TRICARE Prime. Here's what Casey Shepherd didn't like. It meant that she could not choose the medical care for our daughters or send in referrals for me, which worked in my benefit because the psychiatrist looked still over at all this court records and stuff and still said that I have no mental health illness, which I knew. He also looked at the list of prescriptions, not on any psychiatric medication. But yet, in the court reports, it states that I refuse to take my psychiatric medication. It also states we did not do any of our court orders. But we did. We spent around $3,000. And we were struggling to get the last little bit done. And an attorney that stepped in for our first court-appointed attorney said, why aren't you using the base resources? The court has to allow you to use the base resources. So that's what we did. And Casey Shepherd again says, no, it's not good enough. The military resources are not good enough. So there again, they're disrespecting the military. The thing that she should have thought of, okay, we use these resources on the base. Well, the one thing is, we are continuing to use these resources of nutrition and of budgeting. The problem is, we actually had money in 2 savings accounts until this mess of SRS wrongfully taking our children. Now, we had to go to the base for an intake for our daughters. Youthville missed the first appointment. There's a no-show. Luckily, since David got a huge anxiety attack because he was worried about getting into trouble because of a no-show, they said, this isn't your fault, we'll go ahead and we won't count it. And then the next appointment set, they showed up. But she argued with sergeants that are active duty and other medical staff to the point where one of the sergeants pulled me into an office and said that the MPs were on the way to remove her. I let her supervisors know. Her supervisors did nothing to correct this. And the thing is, I had to beg and plead for them not to kick her off the base. And the problem is, if she's allowed to do this with disrespect, the state social workers could have been banned from the base. It's a possibility for disrespect. And we've got that new tanker deal coming in. What would that do to the tanker deal? So I'm telling Kansas and the Sedgwick County Juvenile Court, start thanking the men and women that are working for you in the military for your freedom. Stop disrespecting them and stop saying that the medical care is substandard, because it's not.